Alright, hello and welcome to Masechtas Beitzah, start of a new Masechta. This Masechta talks about Hilchos Yom Tov in general. Let's do a lot with Muksa. As you saw in the opening, I had a exclusive photo shoot with Pardak. His name is Effie, I think Susas Kufsi. I'm not sure exactly what his name is. He produces a YouTube video every weekly. Makes fun of, pokes fun at Haredi lifestyle. He's Haredi. He davened here yesterday for Mincha, so I got a chance to get a couple of pictures with him. I actually sent him an email once. I had an idea for one of his videos. He regularly gets about 200 to 300,000 views for one of his videos. They're 2 or 3 minute clips. He does it once a week. I'm not here to promote him. I'm here to promote myself. But I got a photo shoot with him, so that promotes me. All right, we'll start with Masechtas Beitzah. Shmuel couldn't make it today. Shmuel, his wife is sleeping, so he's in charge of the kids. And we'll start with Masechtas Beitzah. Daf Beis, as I mentioned in one of the previous shiurim, it's very funny that about 20 years ago I was learning Masechtas Beitzah. I think it was Daf Dalet or Daf Hey. I was learning in Yeshiva University, and I came out of one of the base medrashes to walk back to the classroom where they were giving the shiur, and I saw on the news in one of the grocery stores what just happened in New York City. Twin Towers, the planes crashed in the Twin Towers. What Al Qaeda did to New York City, to America, and September 11th coming up. Today's September 2nd, I believe. September 11th coming up 9 days from now. I was learning Masechtas Beitzah. Here again, 20 years later, Masechtas Beitzah. Taliban was in power then, came back into power now. I don't know what that says for this world, but it's not a great thing. But thank God I don't live in Afghanistan. I was playing Risk the other night with my wife and my niece. The question was who was gonna take control of Afghanistan? Who was gonna put their peace in Afghanistan? It's a tough place to be right now. All right. I'm not saying anything about civil rights there. I have no idea what goes on there, but a lot of people want to leave, so I don't know what that says. You draw your own conclusions. The Gemara says, "Daf Beis Beitzah shenolda b'Yom Tov." An egg which was born on Yom Tov. I actually bought organic eggs. I tried organic eggs yesterday. 2 days ago I bought them. I ate them today. And my wife made an omelet out of them. We had eggs and cream cheese and tomatoes in a roll. It's very good. People haven't tried it. They didn't taste that much better, the organic eggs. Regular eggs cost about 11 shekel for a dozen eggs. This cost 26 shekel, so it's more than double the price. I didn't notice a difference in the taste of the eggs. You can say it's healthier. But what I say is that something that tastes good is the healthiest thing. That the way of maintaining the best diet is to eat what you like. It says in Aseret Dibros, it says, it's one of the Aseret Dibros. It says, you're not supposed to make a bracha levatala. You shouldn't say Hashem's name in vain. It means, what does it mean? Some of the Mefarshim say that a bracha levatala is d'oraisa. Where's d'oraisa from? It's from this pasuk. You shouldn't make a bracha in vain. Don't make a bracha on food you don't like. If you make a bracha on food you don't like, it's a bracha in vain. Hashem doesn't want you to eat food you don't like. Make sure you eat the food that you like. That's the healthiest, the best. Enjoy life the most. Live the longest. Can't go wrong. You eat disgusting food that doesn't taste good, you have problems. Alright. Beitzah shenolda b'Yom Tov. An egg which was born on Yom Tov. Beishamai omrim tochal. He says you're allowed to eat it. Beisel omrim lo sochal. Beisel says you're not allowed to eat it. It's a problem with muksa over here. We'll see in the Gemara. Beishamai omrim sor b'gazai z'chamiz b'kagoseves. Shammai says the shear for sor. Sor is yeast. We're talking about Bal Yiran, Bal Yamatzah. The Yisurim of Bal Yiran and Bal Yamatzah, you're not having in your possession or see chametz and sor. So the shear for sor is a kazayas. That is the amount you can't have. Chametz b'kagoseves. Chametz You can have a little more up until the amount of a date, plump date. Beis Hillel omrim zeh v'zeh b'kezayis. Beis Hillel says both of them are kezayis. Beis Hillel is machmir, and this whole mission is machmir. Even chametz only until kezayis. Hashochet chayav of yom tov. Say you shecht a chaya and of yom tov. An of we know is a bird. A chaya, let's say you shecht a deer. I don't know if any of you tasted venison. That's what they call it, deer meat. I think it's illegal to kill deer in a lot of states in America. They do sell venison. It's very expensive. So whatever. Let's say you got a permitted deer. You own your own deer farm or whatever. You own John Deere. You bought a sweatshirt. I bought a sweatshirt for my son, John Deere sweatshirt. So let's say you own John Deere company. Doesn't mean you have deer, but let's say you own deer, all right? You own real deer. So you shech chayav of biyom tov. Shami or miyachpo v'dakav yachas. You're allowed to shech them. And after you do that, you shovel some dirt and you cover it, because kisei adam, you have to cover the blood of a chay and oaf after you shech them. So omrim lo yishko elam ken yalo afar muchan v'od yom. They say you're not allowed to shech it. Let's see what the problem is. The problem is that there's a couple of problems. One of the problems is muksa. So you don't have afar, you don't have dirt. The dirt is muksa. It's not ready. It's not made for you to move it to cover the blood. Umodim shim shachad, but he tells moda if b'diavad you did do a shchita on a chayav of sheyach v'dekar yichasa, that you should move the land, whatever the problem is. We'll see on Daf Ches how they get around this problem and coverage. Efer kira and muchanu. This statement is not related to the previous statement. Efer kira is ashes from your stove. It's considered mukhan, something else. It's a different halacha, not connected to what we just said. In terms of Maya Skina, what are we talking about in the first case of the Mishnah? Beitzah shnolda v'yom tov. Ilim targolos amayas la'achila. There's two types of hens. You have a hen that is made for eating, right? You grow it for the poultry to eat it. So if it's omedes la'achila, ma'itamayad Beis Hillel. What's the reason Beis Hillel says the Beitzah is nolda v'yom tov is asur to eat, which is not muksa ochla difference. So it's part of the chicken. It's like cutting a slice of a piece of a loaf of bread. It's part of the same thing. So if the chicken is mukhan for you to eat, you're allowed to eat it. You're allowed to shech and eat a chicken on Yom Tov. You're allowed to shech. One of the things you're allowed to do on Yom Tov is shech. Ochel nefesh is mutter. Malachos that are done for the purpose of eating, you're allowed to do it. So ochel difference. So elo tarnagol is meant to get al beitzah. So must be talking about a chicken which is not meant to use your poultry to eat. It's meant to give off eggs, to amass eggs from them, to sell the eggs. What's the reason Beishamai? It's muksa, because the tarnagol is not made for shechita, so therefore it comes from something which is a muksa. It's nolad. It's something new which comes from something which is a muksa. Should be muksa also. My kusha, what's the question? Maybe they don't hold of muksa. They don't hold of the concept of muksa. Well, it's machlokes Rishon and Rabbi Yehuda. Well, is the concept of muksa or not? Basically, this is machlokes. Something you didn't prepare. Normally, it has usages, but it's set aside not to be used on Shabbos and Yom Tov. For example, things you plan on selling, things that are planning on not being used, so it's muksa. You set it aside, so it's not ready for Shabbos and Yom Tov. You can't use them in the Rabbanan. Maybe they don't hold of muksa, like Rabbi Shimon. So my answer is, even if you'll tell me that maybe a muksa might be mutter, but nola, this is nola. Nola is that it wasn't in the world yesterday, it was born today. So it's worse. It's a worse form of muksa. Muksa was in the world today, it was set aside. Yesterday it was set aside. And now you want to use it today. This wasn't even in the world today, so it's nola, it's worse. So this is my time with the Beishamai. I'm Rav Nachman, no turn to go to the Beitzah. Really, we are talking about where it's meant for giving off eggs. So the Islay Muksa, Islay Nola. The Islay Muksa, Islay Nola. Rav Shimon, the Nola Muksa also allows Nola. How many know we didn't think that? Now we do think that. The Islay Muksa, Islay Nola. Beishamai, Rabbi Shimon. Beis Hillel, Rabbi Yehuda. Beishamai follows Rav Shimon, who holds it hold of Muksa. And Beis Hillel follows Rabbi Yehuda in this Mishnah. Mi Amar Rav Nachman Haki. Rav Nachman really says, "Vatam Beishamai Omri Magbin Mal Shulchan and Tamas V'Klipin." He says that you could pick at the table after you finish eating your chicken or your meat, and you have bones there, or klipin, or you have shells, you finish eating your pistachio nuts, let's say, or your oranges, and you have klipos there. So So Beis Shammai says you're allowed to actually pick it up. It's not considered muksa. Beis Hillel says that you have to take the table and shake off the table. You're not allowed to actually either do tiltul min atzad, where you indirect touching, where you move the table, which is muchan, which is not muksa, and you pour off the things which are muksa. These bones are muksa because they weren't set aside for you. They don't have no use for them, and you didn't plan on using them. And Rav Nachman said about this price. He says the opposite, that really Beis Hillel is the one who holds like Reb Shimon, doesn't hold of muksa. He holds you actually pick up the atzamos for klipin. You can take it with your hands. Beis Shammai said the one who says like Rabbi Yehuda, that you have to actually pick up the table and pour off the shells, the bones. Amar Rav Nachman, you see Rav Nachman doesn't hold like that. He holds that Beis Hillel holds like Reb Shimon, and now, like we said before, that Rav Nachman holds Beis Hillel holds like Rabbi Yehuda, our Mishnah. Amar Rav Nachman, Gabi Shabbos. Rav Nachman answer you, Gabi Shabbos Sasam Lantana Rabbi Shimon. There, the anonymous Mishnah is like Rabbi Shimon. It's not in Chaskan. It says Lu L'fnei Behim, but in the Veil L'fnei Klavim. The Mishnah in Shabbos, then the Mitzvah Shabbos says you could actually cut up gourds into small pieces. It's not considered a tircha yisera. That's nothing to do with this. As an avela, if the animal dies on Shabbos, and you want to, it's an avela, you can't eat an avela, so you have to give it to your dog for dog food. Let it feed it to your dogs. So it was a live animal before Shabbos. It was muksa, and now it became roy because you're going to feed it to your dogs. You're allowed to do that. It's not considered muksa. Mokim la leveisila Rabbi Shimon. So therefore, since the Mishnah, that's a stam Mishnah, an anonymous Mishnah in Shabbos, Shabbos, and that Mishnah goes like Reb Shimon. There's no muksa. You're chaskan is an avail of klavim. So therefore, by Shabbos, the Hilchah Shabbos, by this case of Ankbiyam al Shulchan and Thomas V'Klipin, which is talking about Shabbos, there we say Reb Shimon holds like Beis Hillel holds like Reb Shimon. Mokim la Beis Hillel Reb Shimon. Agabe Yom Tov, our Mishnah, the Sasam Lantana, there'll be another Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda, the Snan, it says later in this Masechta, in Mavak Neitzim min HaKoros, below min HaKoros and Nishra Miyom Tov. You can't cut pieces of wood from wooden beams set aside for building. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about now. That's just halacha of muksa machmas ksar. In case of different type of muksa, something that's very valuable, you're not allowed to touch it because it's valuable. That's the beams. Also, let's say you have a beam that's built in your house and it broke on Yom Tov. So you want to use it now for firewood. So that was muksa. That's what we are talking about. Machlokes Rabbi Shimon Rabbi Yehuda. It is muksa. And our Mishnah, this Mishnah in Masechus Beitzah, Paskin Sasam Lan to Rabbi Yehuda. It's anonymously like Rabbi Yehuda. And you can't use it for firewood. Even though normally you couldn't burn firewood because it's ochel nefesh. It's enough for the body to use firewood to kindle a fire, to warm yourself up. You're allowed to do that. But it's considered muksa, and you can't do that. So, see, the anonymous Mishnah in Masechus Beitzah, Masechus Yom Tov, is like Rabbi Yehuda. So, Mokim la Beis Hillel like Rabbi Yehuda. So, Rav Nachman is going to say that Beis Hillel holds like Rabbi Yehuda, and also in our Mishnah is going to say our Mishnah Beis Hillel holds like Rabbi Yehuda, and Beis Shammai holds like Rabbi Shimon. That's why the Beis Hillel Yom Tov, you can't eat it according to Beis Hillel. So the Gemara says, Michti man stam elamas nisin. Who was the one that wrote the anonymous Mishnah? Is Rebbe. It's Rebbe Yehuda Nasi. Maishna b'Shabbos asaman Rabbi Shimon. Why by Shabbos did anonymously make the Mishnah like Rabbi Shimon? Maishna by Yom Tov asaman Rabbi Yehuda. And Yom Tov is more machmir. Amri Shabbos the chamira of Asil is usually by Shabbos very chamor. You do malach on Shabbos. I have skila. I have karis do b'shogig her karis. If there's no edim. Or if I have chatas do b'shogig, v'lo'asil zilzul leibei. You're not going to mizalzel in Hilchos Shabbos. That's not Rabbi Shimon. Therefore, muksa, which is the Rabbanan, they're more mekel. The mekel. Yom Tov, the kill. Yom Tov is more ka, which is only a lav. You only get malchus if you violate b'mezid. The asil is zilzul leibei. You're going to mizalzel in Yom Tov. So that's like Rabbi Yehuda the machmer. So therefore, by Hilchos muksa, we pass on like Rabbi Yehuda. He's more machmer. So now, according to Rav Nachman, we're learning, Mish is talking about a chicken that was made not to shech the chicken, but it's made to give off the eggs, to collect the eggs, to sell the eggs. When we show muksa, because of muksa, you have to give it Beitzah, lift the tarnagolas. Why does it say Beitzah shnol the Yom Tov? It should say tarnagolas be Yom Tov. Lavdiacha kochan Beis Shammai. the Mivig Beitzah, look what Tarnagolas. Why are you talking about a Beitzah? Talking about Tarnagolas. Tarnagolas is also muksa. We're talking about the Gadol Beitzim. So why are you talking about the eggs? You're talking about the chicken itself. To tell you the reason they talk about a Beitzah is to tell you that Beis Shammai would allow you even not just muksa, but nola, which wasn't in the world yesterday, and now it's in the world. It would allow you to use that. But they have to go with Tarnagolas, so the on the base also. But if you tell me the machlokes of Tarnagolas, I tell you, I can demonstrate the power of Beis Hillel, that even by the Tarnagolas, where there's no nola, it's still asr, the muksa asr. Maybe you'll tell me that it's better to teach me a heter, teach me where Tana was makel. Therefore, it's better to teach me that Beitzah, where you come and teach me the Chiddush that Beis Shammai allows even Nolad. The Mishnah should said both of them. Tarnagolas amas to Gadol Beitzah, and Hiu Beitzah. So Beis Shammai omer tochal, or Samrim lo tochal. So it should said both. Teach me the Chiddush about the Beitzah that it's mutter even according to Beis Shammai, and that according to Tarnagolas, tell me that even according to Beis Hillel, even though it's not Nolad, it's regular muksa, it would still be aser. It's interesting over here. Koach de Tera Adif tells me that there's a famous call in the Gemara. The Torah says, Rashi explains over here that someone who would rather someone who's makel is more reliable. Why is more reliable? Because it's much harder for someone to be makel to rely on what he heard, or to rely on his own reasoning, and to say it's mutter. It's much harder to do that. The Yetzer Hara tells you anyone can just aser. It's interesting in the art scroll. The art scroll says something different over here. The art scroll says, the way Rashi says over here, Koach Dater Adif, Rashi says, Tov lo lashmina koach divrei amatir. It's better for the Torah, for Chazal, to tell you something that's matir, something she's so mechal shmuaso. Benu yara lahatir, he's not afraid to matir something. Koach haosra eno raya shakol yichol lahachmir afilu b'davar motor. Everyone can be machmir. It's very easy to be machmir if you don't know the halacha. Machmir. It's interesting the way the article phrases. They say when someone asks for something, they add the word. It's prudent. Prudent means it's cautiously wise. That's what I would say. The definition of prudent is cautiously wise to ask for something. It doesn't say. Rashi says shakol yichol la'aser. It doesn't say. It sounds imprudently. People are just saying random things. They're just answering things. Anyway, this is a big thing for me. I believe in this very much. Based on the pure explanation in Rashi, is that if someone can be makel, you follow that opinion. It's better. A kula is better than a chumrah, and if you have just as much reason to makel or just as much reason to machmir, you should go with gola kula. Gola kula. Torah wants you to be makel. Torah doesn't want you to be asr and mutter. The word ben sion asr and mutter. Asr means tied up, mutter means untied. So, kolkama that you're answering things, and you're answering for other people, that means people are being tied up, you're being tied up, you're not a free person. You're in the Shawshank Redemption, the movie, you're in the Shawshank prison, you're in the prison, you haven't gotten out, you haven't escaped from prison yet. You're tied down, you're in prison. If you live your life with chumras, you'll be tied up your whole life, you'll be in prison your whole life, you'll die in prison. Hopefully you'll make it out afterward. But you're in prison. You're tied up. But someone who's martyred, you untie somebody, right? You could escape from jail. There's a way to escape from jail. See in the movie, you could escape. You could actually leave jail and become a rich man. Go to the Bahamas. Andy Dufresne ended up in the Bahamas. I don't know where he was in the Bahamas. Somewhere by the beach, some island or something like that. He lived it up. He escaped from jail. He martyred. We try to be makel as much as possible. If you have a good reason to be makel, you should rely on that. And the postic should rely on that. It should rely on this concept as much as possible. And a person, when either deciding the halacha themselves, you can't ask every shaila to a rav, or even, or when he decides questions himself, he's able to pass on a shaila himself. He should try to be makel as much as possible. It shows that you have your best interests of your life in mind. So the Gemara says, Ella, so the Gemara falls off of this. The Gemara says, based on this question, it's a little bit of a question of now one's explanation. So we have to offer a different explanation on our Mishnah. What's the explanation between Sham Meisel and the Mishnah? Ella, Amar Rab, the Olam Tarnagolas Medes La'achila. Really, we're talking about Tarnagolas that's standing for eating, for poultry. Basically, we're talking about a unique case where Yom Tov fell out after Shabbos. That's the situation of our Mishnah. The problem is a new concept called Achana de Rabba. We'll see what that is in a second. Gasara Rabba called Beitzah, the Misyalda Idna Me'esmal Gamla. Any Beitzah, any egg which was born today, it was finished in the mother's, let's say, womb or stomach yesterday. It says in the Pasuk of the Torah by the man, it says on Friday you should prepare what you're going to bring for Shabbos. Chol, that's why double portion fell on Friday. Chol meichin the Shabbos. So we learn that Chol, Yom HaShishi, a general Yom HaShishi, or a regular Friday is Yemei Chol. Chol meichin the Shabbos. It prepares for Shabbos. Chol meichin the Yom Tov. Chol could also prepare for Yom Tov. Ve'ein Yom Tov meichin the Shabbos. Meaning Shabbos meichin Yom Tov. We also learn that only you need a day of Chol to prepare for Shabbos, but a day of Shabbos or a day of Yom Tov can't prepare for another day of Kodesh. So therefore, also over here, since we're talking about Yom Tov after Shabbos, so the Beitzah was Nigmara in the mother's stomach, the womb, on Shabbos. And then it was born on Yom Tov, so therefore you fall into this problem of Achana de Rabba, a new concept. It's a new concept of Muksa, the Raisa concept of Muksa. Rashi says it's Doraisa. It's Achana de Rabba. It's a new type of muksa that when something is prepared from Shabbos to Yom Tov, that's a different type of muksa. And that's Aser. Doraisa. And that's why Beisel Asers. Amalei Abaye Elamata Yom Tov Alma Tishri. But our Mishnah is talking about, it says Yom Tov, doesn't say Yom Tov after Shabbos, so regular Yom Tov should be mutter. It seems that our Mishnah would Aser any Yom Tov. The word says Gzeir V'Shinot Achar Shabbos. You're right, any Yom Tov would be Aser. It's a Gzeira because of Yom Tov after Shabbos. So therefore, a Machar, even if the Yom Tov didn't fall out after Shabbos. Where it says Shabbos to Alma Tishri. So we're assuming Yom Tov is not, in our Misach doesn't only mean Yom Tov, it means Shabbos also would be Aser. So Gzeira Mishum Shabbos Achar Yom Tov. That would be Aser because we'd also make a Gzeira of Shabbos if after Yom Tov that it was prepared on Yom Tov in the mother's womb and then born on Shabbos. Migazrina. Do we make a Gzeira like this? Vatanya. Ashochet the tarnagolas, you shech the tarnagolas, a hen umasa ba beitzim gemuros. You find in the chicken's in the hen's womb or stomach, you find eggs that are completed. Mutaras laoklan biyom tov. You're allowed to eat those eggs on Yom Tov. They weren't born yet. B'misa we should check Gzeira just to make Gzeira Shabbos a regular Yom Tov because of Shabbos after Yom Tov. Because of Yom Tov after Shabbos, should make a Gzeira based on the ones that were actually born. It's not something common to find the shech the hen just to the point where it didn't actually give birth to the eggs yet, and they're gemuros, they're completely finished in the mother's stomach. So therefore, we allow you to eat those eggs. The milsa lo shlicha, you don't make Gzeiras. Otherwise, you make a Gzeira. Well, that will conclude today's shir. Come tune in tomorrow. Hopefully Shmuel will rejoin me. Have a good day.